Hey everybody, it's Brooke with the Buttered Home. Welcome to my messy kitchen. Today is all about soup. One of our favorite things to make in the fall, in the winter, and sometimes in the summer. We love soup just about any time of year, and today we're going to show you how to cook one of our favorites. It is a great butternut squash soup with white beans, bacon, and fresh spinach, and it is fantastic. Now, one of the reasons why I like soup is because you can almost have a pantry or a refrigerator clean out and come up with a really good soup that will fill your family up and that they are sure to love. We're going to start with some bacon that I've already cooked and then drained and then chopped, and then we have a butternut squash, about half of a good sized butternut squash that we just browned in our reserved bacon grease. So that is going to lead us into this wonderful, smoky, hearty, flavorful soup. So let's get started. So in a deep soup pot, or you'll see I'm using my electric pressure cooker on the saute setting, we are going to add in some butter, and some olive oil. And for the full recipe, you can head over to thebutteredhome.com and you will find it there. And there will also be a link at the bottom of this video for the full recipe. So there we have our bacon, our onions. I'm wanting to skip forward to the good part, which is the bacon, right? So we're going to cook those onions with just a little bit of salt to help them sweat out, and our olive oil and our butter. And you just want to cook these long enough until they become translucent, which if your pot is hot, should not take very long. Now to the onions, we're going to add just a little bit of dried rosemary, a little bit of dried oregano, and some dried thyme. Oh, that thyme smells really, really good. All of it does. We're just going to let our herbs cook just for a second. And then we're going to add in about 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. And let that cook with our herbs and our onions. And you'll see that our onions are just about the same color as our garlic, so they're good and translucent. And now we're going to add in about a tablespoon of plain flour. This is the base for our soup. This will cause it to thicken and have lots of really good flavor. The reason why we add the herbs in with the flour is to help speed up the process by which we cook the flour taste out of the flour. And this makes our roux base, which is how you start any good soup. And you can add to that any medley of herbs that you like, but the earthiness of the oregano and the thyme and the rosemary really complement the squash in this soup. So now we are going to add in our squash and our bacon. And this is about 3 or 4 pieces of cooked bacon. And we just want to roll those around in that roux mixture so that they get nice and coated. Now, I want to take the time to show you the bottom of the pan. This is a lot of what we call pan drippings. Now, I know it doesn't look like it would drip, but when we add our water and our broth, those are actually going to be deglazed and become part of the soup. Now, what you don't know is all this good stuff that we put in here has left a residue here on those pan drippings and becomes part of the flavor of the soup that you just don't want to miss. So now that we've got all of that coated, we are going to add in 2 cups of beef broth and 2 cups of vegetable broth. And the reason why we use vegetable and beef is to give it kind of a good light flavor. And then 2 cups of water. And I'm just gonna give that a whisk and scrape the bottom of that pan to get all of those good flour and herb drippings off of the bottom. And the good whisk will help it kind of thicken a little quicker too. Good stuff off the bottom, and you can sort of feel it with your whisk as you're doing it. Now we're going to take half of a lemon and juice it inside. And you'll notice I'm doing it over a sieve because my lemon has a good bit of seeds in it. And while the seeds might help the flavor, you don't want to bite into one. Like to press that in there to make sure we get all that lemon juice inside, and we're going to stir that in. Now we are going to stir this occasionally and let it come up to a boil, and then lower it to simmer and allow it to simmer for uncovered for about 15 minutes. So that's how you start the soup, and that is the basis of the soup, and it gives it great and wonderful flavor. So what we'll do now is we're going to allow this to simmer for 15 minutes, and then we're going to come back to you and we're going to add in the corn, the white beans, and the spinach, because those only take about 5 minutes to cook. And then we'll have a beautiful, luxurious taste of fall soup ready for you. So we'll be back. And we're back. We have been simmering nicely for about 15 minutes, so it's time to finish everything up. But before we do, I just want to talk a minute about what else we're putting in here. So we have some fresh baby spinach, and literally my measurement is 2 healthy handfuls, and that comes out probably to about 3 cups if it's packed down in here really good. And then we have a can of white beans that we have drained and rinsed, and then a can of whole kernel corn that we've done the same with. So those are our finishing ingredients, along with a little more salt and a little more pepper. Now the bacon grease and the bacon adds a good bit of salt, but anytime you make soup, you want to kind of layer your flavors as you go. So I would urge you, when you get to this point, just taste it and see what it needs, and then you can add there. So let's finish this up. All right, so I've tasted it, and it turns out it needs just a tad more salt and pepper. That butternut squash tends to kind of soak up a good bit of it. So we're gonna stir that in. And it's also worth mentioning now that if you wanted a smooth, buttery base to your soup, that right now would be the time for you to use an immersion blender, but we like ours a little chunky and have a little more texture, so I'm gonna leave it as is. So to this, we're going to add in our beans and our corn. And we're gonna give those a good stir, because we want them to soak up all that beautiful flavor. And then we're just going to put in our handfuls of our spinach. And you want that spinach to be put in at the very end because you just want it to wilt. You don't want it to turn black. You want it to keep some of its green flavor. So at this point, literally you're going to let this simmer for all of 5 more minutes, and then it's ready to cook. Eat. Cook, we've already done that. Eat, yeah, you're gonna wanna eat this. So if I can talk, I'm just so excited about the food, so I misspoke. But in about 5 minutes of a simmer time, you're gonna be ready to eat this glorious soup that is pleasing to look at as it is when it fills your belly. So for more recipes like this, go to thebutternut.com. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and sign up to follow us here on YouTube for many more great videos just like this one. So from the buttered home to your home, we love y'all. Bye.